Hey guys, I know it's been a while, but today we are going to start the second half of the Game Boy Color mod. Before, you had seen how to remove the light and how to disassemble the Game Boy Advance. Today you're going to be seeing the disassembly of the Game Boy Color and the inserting of the new light. Right now all I'm doing is taking off the tri-wing screws. It's not going to be that big of a deal. So while I do that, let me go ahead and tell you guys later on in the video, you will see that I'm not putting the buttons back in. And this was a mistake that I made that I later had to come back to correct. And in the process of correcting that, I ended up messing up the light that you see on the left. I then had to take apart another light that I already had that was still attached to the screen that just wasn't taken apart yet. I took that apart, I resoldered wires onto that one, and then used that one at the end of this mod. So, just need to get that out of the way. When you see the part where I'm putting the screen back on, remember that I didn't put the buttons back, and you need to put those buttons. Alright? So let's move on. Next, you're going to be removing the Phillips screws that are holding the motherboard down. There are 3 of them. After you have all 3 of those removed, you're going to be doing the same thing as with the Game Boy Advance. You're going to flip up the little locks for the ribbon cable. After you flip up those little locks, you pull out the ribbon cable. It's going to be pretty simple. Just as before. Okay, now, I had already removed this screen, so mine's going to come out a lot easier than yours. What you're going to be doing is on the bottom of the screen, you just use a very wide, flat, maybe screwdriver or butter knife to push it up slightly. Be very careful, you can damage this screen and just ruin everything. Alright, now that we have that done, we're going to start with the Dremel. Now most of you probably don't have a Dremel, and if you do, you can use it on this part. If you don't, the parts that I'm going to be taking off are the little angled parts. You can see my finger going along it, showing where it is. Both sides of that need to be taken off all the way to the very end. Now, if you don't have a Dremel, that's okay. All you have to do is just get like a wrench or an X-Acto blade if you have one, or just something to remove that plastic on the bottom. There's got to be a way that you guys can do it. If there's not, then you won't be able to do this mod. So I'm just going to be taking it off with the Dremel. The Dremel makes it a lot easier. I don't really have to put much effort into it. Before I had the Dremel, it was just hell to do it. I used my X-Acto blade, and I would get a brand new blade and I would just cut it slowly. Once I got the sides cut, I would pry it out with a wrench, or I would use a wire cutter on the part with the pliers. But this part is a little obvious on what I'm doing. I'm just grinding down the plastic little by little. I flip the Game Boy Color upside down so that I can get a better angle on those edges on the other side. This is all just real simple stuff. Now, after you get past the Dremel part, which just takes me a while, so I'm going to go ahead and skip forward a little. Okay, there we go. I'm going to be doing just touching up little finished parts, just smoothing it out best I can. That bottom part doesn't really matter too much because that's not where the screen is showing. So don't worry too much about it. Just make sure it's smooth. Make sure that the lens can go on there smooth without anything pushing up against it. Right now I'm just taking a Q-tip that's been dipped in alcohol, and I'm just cleaning up those little areas around, making sure that everything is nice and clean for when I put that lens on. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm just removing the screen from the front. You don't have to do this. I'm doing this because I wanted to add a little something special to this mod. I'm going to be putting on a custom lens. This lens is originally from the orange Pokemon Center Game Boy Color. But you can buy these custom lenses. They're obviously, you know, not officially licensed, but they are really nice. They're very great quality, and to give your mod a little bit of an extra touch, you can put that. Right now I'm just cleaning this. It's not really necessary, but you know, sometimes you just want to clean the area before you stick something new on there. Moving on. Okay, so now we're going to put the lens on. Again, you don't have to do this part if you don't want to, or if you didn't bother to buy a lens, but if you did, this is for you. And if not, you can skip forward till we're past this part, which might take a couple minutes. Alright, got the back off. Now we're going to be removing the front. I originally wanted to just leave the front on, but I wasn't sure if I left that film on, whoever won the giveaway would have difficulty removing it later, because it goes just flat against the Game Boy, and I didn't want them to have any trouble by trying to remove it and maybe scratching the lens, and that would just, you know, be a very big disappointment to something that they were originally excited for. So I went ahead and took it off, and it's just so shiny. Alright, so what you're going to do here is just line up the power button little light hole with the Game Boy Color front. Once you have that lined up, just push it down softly. There's no reason to put anything like glue or anything. This lens, and all the lenses as far as I know, come with an adhesive already, or at least with the Game Boy Colors. I can't say for sure with anything else, but with the Game Boy Colors they usually have their own adhesive. Alright, so that's it with this first part. Right now I'm just putting the light onto here, or well, the screen plastic part onto here. Don't forget that the part that needs to go against the Game Boy is the part that has the little ridges, and the smooth side, you can see I'm checking right there and I'm setting it down. The smooth side goes facing you, the ridge side goes facing the bottom. And you can see that I'm not bothering to put the buttons back. This is where I messed up. And this is also where I'm going to be ending the video. This is going to be part 1, and I will be uploading part 2. I already have it recorded. It's just getting very late, and putting this up will probably be enough for now. Or I'll probably put up the second video in a second.